Welcome to Kilatoa! Yeah! This hiker bike's crazy steep. I'm glad I'm not going up. Whoa.
The fact that it's a small country that has the Andes right there, it just gives these crazy altitude differences that make it a pretty unique place. Here there is dramatic changes all the time. You know, it can change. In a day you can visit 3 different ecosystems on a bicycle, which is pretty impressive. The more we worked on it, the more we wanted to show different facets of a country, not only being up in the mountains and alone all the time, but also coming into towns, coming into villages, crossing a couple of the big cities also, you know, so you get to interact with people.
Check out my new alpaca friend. Hey! Don't spitch. No kissing. Oh, you're very sweet. I'm cycling over to the backside of Cotopaxi volcano today. Cotopaxi is notorious for being in the clouds all the time, but I've got some really good vibes about today. We're gonna get some good riding shots. Seems to be a little bit haily today and quite cold.
There's a lot of ancient paths here that are forgotten. People don't use them anymore. You know, there is roads. There's nobody's doing commerce in horses anymore, but these paths are still there. And I all my life I was going on those paths, either walking or by horse or by bike. You know, my father was a big explorer, so I grew up exploring these paths that they connect villages in Ecuador, and they are still there, but they are disappearing. So the initial version was also a way to recover these paths, to give them importance, to somehow bring attention to them and be like, let's not forget about this amazing opportunity of connecting places by this web of trails that we have is already there. And they carry a lot of history, they visit like really secluded places, and they are made, but they are forgotten. Right now nobody uses them.
The backside of Cotopaxi has been super nice today. It's relatively flat, the grass isn't too high, and although it's boggy, I haven't got my feet muddy yet, so it's not too bad. You could ride most of it, I'd say, but I've just been enjoying pushing my bike in this rather remote landscape. There's a thunder/lightning storm going on. and because there's no protection anywhere behind Cotopaxi, I've set up the tent and I'm hoping the lightning doesn't strike.
There's no way I can bring you back, but the plan is to show you that I understand. There's no way I can bring you back, but the plan is to show you that I understand.
I like it, Darth.
There's no way I can bring you back. There's no way I can bring you back. There's no way I can bring you back, but the plan is to show you that I understand.
It is that sense of adventure, that sense of loneliness in some cases, that sense of I cannot go anymore. You know, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, and just pushing a little bit farther. You know, and feeling that the reward that brings you. You know, not only as a person who probably wants to do the physical part, but also I feel spiritually it brings a lot too, you know, having time to be by yourself or having time to share with someone that you want, you know, in a different setting. I try talking to people up in the government and trying to tell them, you know, this is important, this can make a change. We can make cycling routes in Ecuador that are gonna draw people to our country to ride here, and that didn't work. And right now I feel what I see happening is the opposite, is, you know, cyclists coming and riding it, and when we are too many, you know, they will see us. You know, when we are too many, they cannot play the blind anymore. They will be like, wow, there is cyclists on the Trans-Ecuador, we need to do something. And for me, that something will be not to change it, not to modify it. I don't feel like there needs to be any special anything, just to recognize this particular route as a cycling route.
This amber coloured water is the best water I could find all afternoon. Compare that to some fresh water and it's looking pretty murky. See what I can do with the water filter though. This is what it looks like post filtration. Still a little bit yellow, but it should be good for cooking.
Anybody home?
This road is so steep and so slippery. I I really need the rain to stop because I can't even push my bike. If it keeps raining like this, it could take me a whole day to get up this hill. So please, rain, stop. This farmer just offered to tie a rope around me and use his horse to drag me up the hill. Very kind. To give you guys an idea of how steep this is, I'm ascending the equivalent of a 50-story building every kilometre. If my maths is right, that's about 80 stories per mile. The road's too muddy to ride or push my bike, so I'm in the foliage, but it's nearly impossible pushing the bike in there. All I want to do right now is set up my tent, make a nice hot coffee and be warm. That road was absolute madness. I really need to plan my routes a little bit better. Anyway, that's behind me now. I'm now onto the high plains behind Quito, and it should be incredible. I'm really looking forward to this section.
Cyclists are a great way of transporting money to places that other people won't go. So there was a big social component. There was a big social component in the creation of the Trans-Ecuador thing. Tomás, Matias, and myself, and Cas, we were really aware of this thing, that you know how the population and how people is moving in countries like Ecuador, Peru, Colombia, people like this massive migration into cities. How can we cyclists, contribute on stopping that a little bit?
Just crossing a field at the moment, and these guys have protected me from a raging bull. So I need to explain what happened last night in a little bit more detail. A little bit of context. I've been crossing farms with cows in it for days and days and days, and last night I rocked up to a paddock. I was about to open the gate and two cowboys came over, and they told me that there was a bull inside the farm. So one of the cowboys ran all the way to the other side of the paddock and started taunting this bull. And so the bull obviously rushed across to it. And then we opened the gate on the other side and the bull noticed, and the bull just started charging both of us. And so I was at this gate with a bull charging me with my bicycle, and I had to jump out of the way. And this guy opened the gate, the bull charged into the next paddock, and then we went through to the other side and shut the gate. If I had have crossed that paddock without knowing that there was a raging bull inside, I don't know what would have happened. Death? been a while since I've been in civilization, but it looks like I've got a sweet single track section all the way in, so let's have some fun.
It's been a work in progress to not only do Ecuador, but to connect Colombia, to connect Ecuador, Peru and Bolivia, and probably keep going with a biking route that offers more challenge, that offers something different, something that you are seeking, I'm seeking, is being alone, being away for a few days, just spending some time in these magical mountains, by yourself, a challenging route that will demand, people to be prepared mentally and physically, and that will provide an adventure, and connect the Andes. Connect is the longest mountain range. It's the longest mountain range in the world. It will be pretty amazing to have a high altitude route that goes all the way from Colombia to Patagonia, Yeah, so it's a big dream. The Trans Ecuador is just the very beginning, probably.